Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/best of for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." Hairstylist has been taking/keeping my hair. The original poster is "Fed up so bed up." Posted a true off my chest. November 24th, 2024. I'm weirded out. I'm also going to be vague because obvious reasons. I'm a 30s female, my stylist is 40s. I get my hair cut today at a stylist I've been using for about 9 months now. I think this is my 6th appointment with them. I usually do a trim or cut/style, and today I went from long hair, high lower back, to an A-line bob. Again, since I started seeing this person, I usually get current style maintenance and trim. This time was a dramatic length adjustment, so they took a picture of the cut length on the floor to add to their social media, then intending to add before and after ours too. That's all totally fine and normal. They go, grab a broom, sweep up the hair, and place the dustpan on the counter for a bit. Again, normal. They grab the broom and pan and head to the back of the shop. They're gone a few minutes, no biggie. Then they go out to smoke. But here's where it gets weird. The bathroom is in the back of the shop too. I need to go and step into the back. I don't really notice anything on the way to the bathroom. I go and start to head back out. But I notice my name on a small clear tote on the table. It has no lid, and it has my hair in it. At first, I didn't really think much of it, but I look closer and see it's not just today's discarded hair, but looks like at least a few of my trim sessions, mixed in with what looks like potpourri and a little sand or something, and printed pictures of the cut hair with dates. The printer is sitting right next to it with today's discarded hair pick in the tray. There didn't seem to be any other containers like this when I looked around. It was fucking weird. So I took a pic on my phone. I honestly didn't know what to think or do and went back out into the salon. They came back in and I mentioned that I went to the restroom and they seemed to freak out a little bit, but didn't mention it. I didn't really know what to say, so I just let them finish styling my hair, paid, and left. As a socially anxious introvert, this was my nightmare. I got home, and the more I looked at this picture, the more ick I got. I ended up texting them an hour ago, sending the picture and requesting they remove the weird box of me and asking for an explanation. I said, "Hey, so I saw this and I didn't know what to make of it. Can you help me understand what this is and why you have it? I'm not comfortable with you having this and request you please discard the contents. Also, even though I loved my cut, I believe it's best if I find a different stylist." They haven't responded, just LOL WTF. Update, December 1st, 2024. Long post. Admins, please allow this separate post update. Original post can be found here. It's been about a week, and with the holiday I've been all over the place, but I ended up going to law enforcement to make a report last Monday. I'll likely end up going back if this person keeps contacting me like they have been. I'll give a little timeline. Last Saturday, haircut and discovered the weird tub full of my hair. Texted stylist about the weird tub and said I'd be finding a new stylist. Hairstylist didn't respond. This is why I left off in the last post. A lot has happened since then. Sunday, I woke up to a bunch of texts from the stylist. It woke me up because even though I have D&D on my phone, do not disturb, not Dungeons and Dragons, I have a setting that overrides that if there are repeated contact attempts over 3, in case of emergencies. And here's what I got, copied and pasted. And for those of you who are listening audio only, the texts I'm about to read are very broken in their English and have a very desperate feel to them. 3:49 a.m. I don't recommend going to a different stylist because of this. It's not a big deal. Small towns and people talk, and you may not find one that'll take you after this, so I'd reconsider. I don't like threats. 3:51 a.m. So I have your biological material, and it's my property now. I can do what I want with it. I kept it because I can, and it means a lot to me. 3:54 a.m. Why you send the pic? I know what it looks like. It's mine. 4 a.m. You need to respond to me because I think it's a misunderstanding about what this is. And it's about. And you're saying you're switching stylists has me triggered. I do good work. You said so. 4:04 a.m. I also charge a $350 client separation fee, so yeah, you can't just say you're switching stylists with more consequences. And I know. You said you already tried a few people before me. There are not many beauty people in the area. 4:11 a.m. Asking for an explanation from a stylist having hair in a salon is crazy. Where else would you find hair at? I didn't do nothing wrong, but I will get rid of it if you're gonna cry about it. But only if you say you won't be switching to someone else for your hair care. You mean a lot as a client, and always tip well. And I do good work, so it doesn't make sense. And you know that, so maybe don't threaten someone who does your hair or hurt their heart by making accusatory statements. I didn't respond to any of those that morning because it was so insane to me. I need to process things fully before I make a decision on how to deal with it, so I just didn't respond. And then Sunday afternoon, I started getting phone calls. This person called me 14 times that afternoon. About every other call, they left a voicemail. Most of the voicemails just said, "Call me back" or "Text me back." But 2 of them were unhinged. I'm going to paraphrase, but the gist of the first one was, sounds like they're crying, "Call me back, I'm getting scared you won't come back to me for your hair for real. I just like how your hair feels, that's why I kept it. Call me." The second unhinged message was left late Sunday night at 11:38 p.m. and it said, "I got rid of it except for one lock. I found out I like watching your hair burn more than I liked keeping it." I didn't respond to any of those messages, calls, or texts. The whole thing had me freaked out now. I decided by the time that I was taking Monday off work to go to the police. Even if they couldn't do anything, I wanted to file a report of the weirdness. I woke up Monday to an email from the stylist with an invoice of $375 for client breach of contract fee. As the charge line item, again, copying and pasting here, the email body was just "for being a bitch." It was sent from their business email too, so they're really doing everything they can to ruin themselves. Even if I had a contract with this nutter, which I don't, the original amount was for $350. They can't even get their extortion fees right. I did email them back stating we had no contract and to cease all further communication with me from this point forward. I got ready and started heading to the police station around 9:45 Monday morning. I live in a rural area, so there are portions of my drive to and from our main town that doesn't have cell reception. When I finally got to town, I had 4 voicemails. I knew immediately who they were from. I talked to one of the officers on staff. They took my statement, a copy of the email, and asked me to forward all the texts and screenshots of the numbers of calls. They said, at the least, the calls and texts could be considered menacing and harassment, but the voicemail where they mentioned how they like burning my hair was potentially concerning. The officer advised I contact a legal representative in case this person tries to take the bogus invoice to a civil suit court. They said I'm welcome to change my number, but having the piling evidence if they continue to contact me after I explicitly told them not to in the email would only help me. I reached out to a lawyer Tuesday and left a detailed message regarding the situation. They are apparently out of the office until next Wednesday for the holidays, so we'll see if they have any advice. I've since received many texts and calls from the stylist. They sent a "Happy Thanksgiving" text on Thursday morning as well. Regardless, they are giving me a lot of evidentiary material to work with, but I'm so unsettled. I can't wait to hear from the lawyer this week. Mini update from comments, December 8th, 2024. Mini update. I woke up to new comments and requests for updates. Firstly, I am okay and safe for now. The person has continued to contact me on a regular basis via phone and email. I do have personal protection that I'm comfortable with and can wield with accuracy. But I'm nearly certain this person does not know where I live, so I don't anticipate any type of confrontation here. Our house and property has complete camera coverage as well. If anyone or anything shows up, we're all well aware. I will be posting a more in-depth update with more texts and emails up to this point, and regarding a specific incident that happened on Friday, on Tuesday. I have an appointment to speak with another officer, then to discuss the potential of criminal action and legal consequences for the stylist as a result. Thank you all for your concern and the validation that this has been absolutely insane. I'll leave you with a text from this past week, one I think you'll all enjoy? Question? Use for a model of how not to make friends? Once again, copied and pasted. 5:12 a.m. December 4th, 2024. Don't never say never. You're never coming back. Don't make me laugh. I don't want your ass back. You can beg me though. It might help. I will certainly be keeping an eye out for the update on this post for next week's episode. There is definitely a lot of concerning behavior in here, from liking how the hair smells when it burns to liking how it feels, and of course, collecting a client's hair. Also, that $375 client separation fee will not hold up in court. Not in the goddamn slightest, let me tell you what. Because the moment a judge sees that and the invoice is labeled for being a little bitch, that's not gonna go anywhere. That shit'll be so easy to dismiss, it's not even funny, because he also can't even point to initial contract that shows that either. I mean, if you do want to get legal representation, go for it, because you'll probably be able to sue for the legal fees back, and, also, of course, for any emotional distress or damages that come from that, but just, he's not gonna go anywhere with it, or get anywhere with it. Ugh, creepy motherfucker. Well, I'll be keeping an eye out for any updates that come to this post, and be sure to include them in future episodes. Lucy Aria Rose, and their tagline is "I'm keeping the garlic." This was originally posted to r/am I the asshole, and the OP's name will not be included. Am I the asshole for not eating a Thanksgiving dish I suspect it was made last year? Originally posted November 29th, 2024. Long-time lurker, first-time poster. But I'm so baffled about this situation, I need a non-biased perspective. My husband and I, 30-ish, have quite a large family. His parents, his 2 siblings, plus spouse and kids. My divorced parents and their new spouses, plus my siblings and their spouses and kids. Altogether, we are well over 20 people, so family gatherings can be overwhelming for the person hosting. And yes, my divorced parents and their new spouses get along fine, and there's no drama. Last night, we celebrated Thanksgiving, and as a family tradition, everyone brings a dish. Usually, we communicate with each other so that way everyone is making different types of food. My sister-in-law, wife of my brother, said that she was going to bring her mom's famous sweet potato casserole. I thought it was very nice of her since her mom passed away this year and she was honoring her memory by making her recipe. However, once I saw her dish, I truly think she brought last year's leftovers. Instead of big pan, she brought several small and medium containers of sweet potato casserole. Although it did not smell weird, it was very dry and just didn't look like a regular one. I didn't try it and discreetly told my husband my concerns, who also did not try it. Once Thanksgiving was over, my mother called me saying that sister-in-law was upset because she noticed I didn't try her dish. I told my mother about my fears and she said that I'm just too picky with food, and there is no way a frozen casserole could last a year without having mold. I pointed out that several containers could mean she cut the good parts and left the moldy ones. After an awkward silence, we decided to agree to disagree and hang up. I feel bad for my sister-in-law, but I truly could not bring myself to eat something I am not 100% sure is safe. So, am I the asshole? Commenter: I would not have eaten it either. Not a chance. It's odd that something wouldn't come in one dish. OP responds: that is one of the things that made me uneasy. It was not that she had to make the dish unexpectedly, so why the several containers? SMH. Commenter: I personally think it's more likely that she's just not good at making the dish and for whatever reason made it in smaller dishes. Maybe she doesn't own a big one, maybe it was occupied. Rather than coming up with a whole elaborate story in your head, why wouldn't you have just asked about the detail that was concerning you? Not in a, I think you're trying to give me food poisoning way, but in a curious and making idle conversation way. Also, although many leftovers would not taste as good after a year in the freezer burn yo, they wouldn't be moldy, and if the freezer was working properly, the food would be unlikely to make you sick, especially something like sweet potato. You don't have to try everyone's food, but I think you massively overreacted here. OP responds: I didn't ask because I didn't want to be put on the spot if the answer was, I reheated last year's food. Commenter: I think there's something actually wrong with OP's freezer if she thinks that mold in a freezer is inevitable. OP, downvoted. Hi, my mom was the one that made the mold comment, not me. I'm not even sure why she did. I don't cook on a daily basis, my husband does, and the leftovers of the night are usually eaten the next day at work lunch. So I've never frozen any cooked food. The funny part is that at the party, I always make flan. Commenter: this is where I feel like OP is not the asshole for not trying the dish. Eat what you like. But they absolutely are an asshole for concocting this story about it being last year's food that she cut mold out of and put into smaller dishes and spread this nonsense to their family members. That's some poisoning the well bullshit. I'm assuming OP doesn't think very high of sister-in-law at all. OP, downvoted. Thank you for your input. I only said it to my husband and was very discreet about it. I mentioned it to my mom after the party and only because she called me about it. I love my sister-in-law, but didn't want to put her on the spot. I actually feel bad that she may be upset. Commenter, can I ask a potentially misguided question? Why would it have been a big deal if the answer was, I reheated last year's food? In that case, it would have only been in the freezer for a year, and it would have been an opportunity for her to share a memory of her late mother cooking it last year. OP, downvoted. Personally, I would not eat a casserole that was frozen for a year, which was my suspicion and why I just skipped it. I felt if I had asked in the middle of the party and got that response, some other family members would have also skipped her dish, which would have made her feel bad. OP clarifies to a highly upvoted "you're the asshole" response. Hey, thanks for taking the time and sharing your thoughts. Just a few things. I did quietly just skip her dish, and I also discreetly told my husband. As said, we are over 20 loud people with kids, so I thought it went unnoticed. My mom called me after the event was over. I didn't reach out to her. I was honest with her as to why I didn't eat the dish. My sister-in-law was not visibly upset at the party. She mentioned it to my mother after the event, which made my mother call me. I don't know who ate what, and I didn't ask my mother if I was the only one my sister-in-law noticed didn't try her food. However, I appreciate your input about her mental health and will check on her. I love my sister-in-law and care for her, so I definitely want her to feel supported. Top comment on the post. Not the asshole. Let's say for argument's sake that the casserole was made yesterday, on Thanksgiving. If you just decided you didn't want sweet potato casserole, you'd still be in the situation and you'd still be justified in not eating it. Either way, the person who made the dish should not be closely monitoring who took some. That's very strange. Eat what you want to eat at these types of gatherings. OP is voted not the asshole, but responses are heavily mixed. Update, same post, 12 hours later. After spending my whole morning reading and answering your comments, I decided to pass by my mother's house and have an in-person talk with her. I read her some of the comments on the original post, and she thinks the internet is a strange place. We agreed I can always come and tell her what I think truthfully. She's not talked to anyone else in the family about the yam debacle. We decided to call my brother and ask if we can go to his house and have a quick word with him and my sister-in-law. He said to brace ourselves and come with an open mind. When we got there, my sister-in-law started crying uncontrollably, and my brother took us to the kitchen, which was a mess. Long story short, they were indeed leftovers, just not a year old. I guess sometime before her passing, sister-in-law and her mom had made several family recipes as a bonding experience. The casserole was one of the staple recipes, and my sister-in-law had froze several containers of it. On Thanksgiving weekend, she thawed some of it and tried to replicate the taste without luck. I guess the pressure of making it for us got the best of her, and she got more and more frustrated as the date approached. On Thursday, she finally gave up and decided to just reheat the ones she had frozen. As to why my sister-in-law noticed that I didn't eat her dish, apparently in prior years I had complimented the casserole as, "This is the best one I've ever tried." So this year, she was expecting some comment and was sad when I didn't even try it. I apologized and told her I was really sorry that I hurt her feelings. She apologized for singling me out. We told her to rest, and in the meantime, me, my mother, and brother, we would clean the kitchen, tidy the house, and Mom made her a soup. Hagiako. If you know, you know. My mom decided to stay, but I left a bit after everything was done and everyone was calm. As a goodwill gesture, I'm getting my sister-in-law a mini spa day that I think she will enjoy and help her feel better. So that's pretty much it. No big fight, no big dramatic scene, and sorry, not sorry. Thank you all for your opinions. I'll be more thoughtful of people's feelings, but I still will not eat something I don't want to just to please someone. No reports that anyone got sick, by the way. Lastly, does my mother think frozen food can get moldy? She claims she said it in the heat of the moment and because I was annoying her. She knows cooking is not my forte, so she thought I had no good comeback to that. I opened her freezer and there's only meat and ice cream. So, who knows at this point? And this is why communication is key. Turns out it's not leftovers from a year ago. Turns out she was desperately trying to recreate the recipe and resorted to leftovers from when her mother had passed. But as for the general conversation of it, what do you guys think? Do you think it was rude of her for not wanting to eat the dish and having the theory that it was year-old food, or do you think it was justified? Do you think the comments are crazy for calling her the asshole, or vice versa? Or after hearing the full story, what were your thoughts after hearing it and your initial thoughts hearing it? Because, I'd be really curious. This post was gathered by Boring History Fan, and because their tagline is actually NSFW, I can't narrate it. This was originally posted on Ask a Manager, an external website. I just came back to work after a month-long emergency medical leave. The too long didn't read is that after a decade of medical gaslighting, a new doctor ordered an emergency MRI during a routine visit and discovered a mass in my abdomen. I was rushed into surgery within 24 hours. I ended up having an 18-pound benign tumor pressing on my vital organs, and I was about a week away from multiple organ failure. I'm lucky to be alive, and time will tell if I have any lasting organ damage, but right now, everything is fine. Mentally, I'm struggling with a few things, but the only outwardly noticeable impact is that I've gone from a size 20 to a size 8. Nobody on my medical team anticipated a change this drastic, but I'm healthy and lucky. I was expecting to get a lot of questions from my coworkers because curiosity exists. I had a basic emergency surgery, but I'm fine now answer that almost everyone accepted. But one coworker who I hardly speak to, Aubrey. On my first day back to work, Aubrey came up to me and said, "I wish you had come to me to lose the weight instead of resorting to such drastic measures. You're gonna gain it all back, you know. I'll be waiting." I was aware of Aubrey's reputation, but since we never worked together, I didn't think it would be an issue. She's one of those people who think they're a fitness expert and calls herself a health coach. Nothing to do with the company we work for. She has a reputation for giving out unsolicited and incorrect health advice, and is always commenting on people's food choices. I was speechless when she asked why I opted to get butchered instead of putting in the hard work to lose the weight. There's nothing wrong with someone choosing surgical weight loss options, but that's not what happened to me. And I really resented her aggressive attitude and spreading rumors. During my second week back, she came by my office at the end of the day in athletic gear, offering to go with me if I was too afraid to go to the gym alone. At the time, I wasn't even cleared to lift my kid or do laundry or climb a flight of stairs, let alone go to the gym with this crackpot. I don't remember what I said to her, but she left saying I'd gained the weight back because I'm lazy. The next day, Aubrey ranted angrily about me in a meeting I wasn't in. Missed it for a follow-up, ironically. I don't know everything that was said, but the gist was that if I can't dedicate myself to weight loss, I obviously can't see my work obligations through. HR called for a red flag mediation. At our company, mediation can go against your bonus opportunities for the year. I have no idea why I'm in mediation when she's the one being an asshat. At the mediation, Aubrey stated that she was triggered by my new body, and I should have thought of other people's feelings and warned her before my surgery. I hardly had time to warn my husband and get my kid out of daycare. I don't owe Aubrey anything. I have empathy that she's obviously struggling, but that does not excuse her behavior. HR said that while they can't ask me to explain my medical history, it might clear the air if I told her what kind of surgery I had and why. I said I wasn't obligated to share my medical information with anyone, and that Aubrey having bad coping skills doesn't entitle her to a coworker's personal health information. Their response was kind of, "Well, then we can't stop her from bullying you." After Thanksgiving, my doctor helped me put in ADA accommodation paperwork so I could work from home. I was having some mild complications from surgery, but also to avoid Aubrey. The company hates remote work, so they're really not happy. Aubrey still emails me workout videos and diet plans, and when I forward them to HR, their response is, "Noted. Do you know when you're coming back to the office?" I've been thinking about escalating this to corporate with an employment lawyer. Is that overkill? I'm still in a sensitive place after my surgery, and I have no energy for this, especially since Aubrey is fixated on weight loss, which was the primary way doctors gaslit me for years. I've been with this company for 5 years, and I'm just exhausted and disappointed in how they're handling this, and I want it over yesterday. Update 2, April 17th, 2023. All I have to say for this update is hold on to your banana pants. I saw a lot of comments asking where management was in all this, so I'll address that first. My boss, George, was getting ready to retire while this was going on. George is roughly my grandfather's age, so this entire situation bewildered both him and his replacement, who he was training at the time. Both of them met with Aubrey's boss because, believe me, I was documenting everything she did from the jump. and they all assured me that Aubrey would be dealt with. None of them recommended the red flag mediation. That was HR's idea. I was given details of the meeting where Aubrey ranted about me, and it was horrible. But apparently, Aubrey was asked to leave by her own boss while several other employees told her to stop. So, managerially and in this office in general, people were trying to rein her in from many different angles. HR is where the ball dropped and dropped hard. This company just has a poor HR structure and bad entry to mid-level HR. When Aubrey's boss referred her to HR regarding her negative behavior, HR took it upon themselves to consider it a mediation situation, which, remember, at our company can go against your bonus for the year. Despite communication from George, his replacement, and Aubrey's boss saying I wasn't in the wrong, when George found out about this, he spoke to the HR generalist's manager, who said that my absence probably caused a lot of strain and extra work for Aubrey, when Aubrey's not even credentialed to do what I do. Management made a point to tell me how baffled and upset they were with HR's handling of the situation every time something came up. My company mentor was also a huge support during this time until she decided to take another job elsewhere. When my doctor extended my ADA work-from-home accommodation a second time, HR responded by telling me my attendance was a concern. I emailed their boss's boss, the HR director, and asked for clarification. He said I hadn't come into the office, so of course my attendance was a problem. I reiterated I had medical documentation stating that if work from home wasn't available, then they could refer to the family medical leave of absence documentation my medical team also sent over. He replied that medical documentation, including both FMLA and ADA reasonable accommodation, doesn't hold much weight with the company. That's when I got a lawyer. Aubrey has a problem kind of drifted to the background when HR started their medical documentation doesn't matter campaign. On my lawyer's recommendation, I contacted the HR executive team, which is where this whole cursed situation came to light. And I did check with my lawyer about emailing this update, and they laughed and said I couldn't leave people hanging after all of that. I called the HR chief officer, which for my company is going over like 5 people's heads, but I did it with George's and my new boss's blessings, who is the head of HR, and asked why my attendance was an issue when I had reasonable ADA documentation. She had no idea what I was talking about, so I filled her in on all of it, including the mediation meeting and Aubrey's harassment in the HR director, her direct report, saying medical documentation didn't hold any weight with the company. She was speechless and asked to meet with me and my lawyer as soon as possible. My lawyer hardly had to do anything during the meeting because the CHRO was horrified at everything I told her. I've never actually seen steam come out of someone's ears, but if it was physically possible, it would have happened here. My lawyer didn't need to say a word, but just nodded and smiled when the CHRO offered an extended paid medical leave so I could handle my recovery and said Aubrey constantly sending me fitness plans would be dealt with swiftly. I didn't hear anything out of Aubrey for a long time, but I did hear through some gossip channels that the HR staff involved in the red flag meeting / threatening to write me up were let go. Aubrey wasn't fired because they believed she was misled by HR, so I understand that part even if I don't agree with it. But she was on a tight PIP for a while, performance improvement plan. Then, she showed up at my house. Now we move from banana pants to full-on banana ensemble. I'm still on leave and out of the blue, Aubrey showed up at my door on a weekend with 2 other women in tow, and the commenters guessed it. She's in very deep with an MLM, or maybe a cult, I can't be sure at this point. Aubrey came over to demonstrate some workout techniques and give me some diet supplement samples and discuss a career opportunity, because she was worried about my physical and professional health. She didn't make it past my mother-in-law, who has been a godsend right now. My mother-in-law made it clear where Aubrey could stick her demonstration and they left in a hurry. I notified my lawyer and the CHRO, and suffice to say, Aubrey is now a full-time wellness coach. I'm happy I went with my gut and got a lawyer because the company has changed so drastically over the last year with the toxic HR department encouraging behavior like Aubrey's and spreading false information about medical leave and time off. The company is almost unrecognizable. Also, with my boss and mentor both gone, I don't know if I'm going to go back once I'm medically cleared. The company is also undergoing a restructuring right now, and my department may end up distributed between other parts of the company, or even other parts of the state. I've been looking at jobs and doing some resume drafting for a full-time remote position since it feels like it might be a better fit. But many thanks to the comments section and all the support. Final update, June 12th, 2023. I got an offer from a local company that's going fully remote with administration and management meeting up once a month. The salary was right, it's 90% remote, it's a good fit, so I'm happy with it. My role is HR adjacent as head of payroll. I report to the COO and was hired by the CEO and COO. I walk into our first admin meeting and who is sitting across from me but the HR director who told me medical documentation doesn't matter and orchestrated my red flag meeting. Let's call him Bob. Bob is the interim HR director for this company. Bob looked very uncomfortable when he saw me. We went through some employee files, including several who are on maternity leave and 2 who were injured on a job site. Bob got quieter as we began reviewing medical documentation and approving paid leave. I smiled and looked him in the eye every time I asked. And does Jill have her medical documentation? Great! Medical documentation holds a lot of weight. That's important stuff to have. He looked like he wanted to melt into his seat. At one point, he tried to argue against someone using their PTO to provide end-of-life care for a parent when they had ample PTO. I smiled and said, "You're right. Our employee support fund should cover half his time. It's a shame for them to have to lose all their PTO when they're obviously going to need it to heal and grieve over the next few months. Why don't you get me the paperwork for the support fund this afternoon? That's so generous." Everyone was happy and in agreement. He looked like he swallowed a lemon, but everyone was like, "Oh my god, Bob, how thoughtful!" He had to eat it so bad and got me the documentation an hour later. Bob can suck it. Bob is also only a contractor, so he'll be moving on soon anyway. Medically, I'm doing better and very happy to move from where I was. Aubrey's been full on radio silence, which is perfect for me. Thanks AAM team and commenters. So for those of you who are wondering the realisticness of OP running back into Bob after him being fired from HR at one company and appearing at another, that's very common. It's kind of like a shell game with some of the HR people. They might let them go because they fucked over their company or put them in risk of a lawsuit, but it is far too common to give them a generous severance package and give them a glowing recommendation for the next poor company who wants to pick them up. So oftentimes, even if someone is fired in HR for fucking up or fired at a position of management for fucking something up, oftentimes they'll just be given a severance package and a glowing letter of recommendation and sent somewhere else. I really wish I was exaggerating because this is all too common. But yeah, I've said it before and I will say it again. Don't trust HR. They're not your friend. Their only job is to make sure the company doesn't get sued. Bob did a really bad job of that. And the CHRO probably almost had a heart attack when she found out what Bob was doing behind the scenes because that is a recipe for a lawsuit. 100% so. Part of me kind of wonders how much of this was Bob just going, women and their weight problems. I can't deal with this. I'm a man. Red flag mediation. Work it out, you two. You know, I'm being sarcastic and kind of making a joke, but it actually sounds incredibly plausible. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.